Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the concept of PGP message transmission and reception. PGP message transmission and reception. So PGP message transmission and reception. So both the PGP message. So PGP message is what? So pretty good privacy is a message, is a encryption system, is a encryption procedure that provides a security for the both writing the mails as well as sending the files. So here, to do this PGP, we are offering a different services, PGP message services like authentication, confidentiality, non-repudiation, integrity. So these are all some different types of PGP services. But from these services, we apply these services to send the messages. That messages are called as PGP messages. So the messages indicates that the generation of the keys, applying of the keys, and using of the keys. So one is what? Generation of the key. Second one is using of the keys, and then next aborting of the keys. So generation of the keys, random session keys, or public keys, or private keys. So using that all the keys for what? Using it all the keys for encryption purpose or decryption purpose. So the PGP messages are offered to provide the following services in both secured way. So for that, we use some different concepts like keys, cryptographic keys, and key rings. So in that, the private key rings are there as well as public key rings are there. Public key rings are there. So private keyring can be indexed by this user IDs, key IDs, or both. However, for the security, value of the key is not stored in the keyring, but encrypted version of it, which requires passphrase to decrypt. So that is nothing but passphrase symmetric key. So this is also one type of key, passphrase symmetric key. So as with all these passphrase schemes, the security of method depends on the strength of passphrase. So when you are applying more number of security, then the strength of passphrase will increase. When you are applying more number of security, then automatically the strength of passphrase increases. But applying methods is important. So for the conversion, we use some different functions. For encryption, we use different algorithms. For storing of the keys, we use some different concepts like key rings or cryptographic keys. So with all these, the PGP messages are informed that the security is provided to the mail as well as security is provided to the file. So how the message actually transmitted to the other user? How the message is received by the other user? So what are the technique? What are the procedure of flow that contains? We will see. So here the message transmission, the figure shows that steps during the transmission, assuming that the message is to be both signed and encrypted. So this is the PGP message generation from user A to user B. No compression or radix 64 you can use. So here this is the part for both user A and user B. So this is all the path for user A to this user B. So here the PGP messages are informed that to the both users, user A and user B, informed that both users have to be verified each and every message with the digitally signed or not, it is digitally verified or not. So with the help of encryption and decryption keys also, how they are verified. So here, the first is what, the message is what here, the message is separate and the keyring is separate. So for the A section, for the user A, the message is this one, applying private keyrings to this message, added somewhat strengthen security, for the messages, So here how we are seeing. So the message is applying with the hash function. Message is applying with the hash function. There is nothing but message digested. And now applying private key, applying somewhat encryption process, So here EP stands for what? Encryption process. So applying encryption process with the help of private key. So private key is actually stored on what? Private key is actually stored on private keyring. Each and every keyring contains a pair of public and private key. Pair of both public and private key. So for that public and private key, there are ID also maintained. So for each and every public and private key, ID is mentioned. So now here, when we are transferring the message is authenticated by hash and the message has to be digested. So applying encryption process to this message with the help of private key, So with the help of this private key, so actually where the private key existed in the private keyring, so which is also called as data structures, which maintains both public and private keys. That is what we said in the previous sessions. So public key and private keys. So private keyring maintains that both public and private key, receiver's private key. So here, for each and every public and private keys, the ID also there. So ID is there. Based on the ID, you are going to choose the particular private key. So here, the encrypted private key. So this one is private key, and this one is for key ID, which is used for compression purpose. So for doing the compression, one key ID is used. So for doing this private encryption purpose, one key is used. So passphrase is a mechanism. That applies on hash function. To decoding the process. After decoding that, the private key is applied for the encryption process. Now, for this, the compression process occurs. So now the message got signature. Plus message. So the message got signature as well as message. So now it is encoded. So now at the moment of receiver side, now this is the receiver side point of view. So same like sender side point of view. So the same like senders, what process actually contains is what process is in the decryption process. So here, the signature plus message. This is the encoded message with the help of session key generated. If you are not with the encryption process, then apply directly with the help of decompression process. So this is nothing but decompress, and there applied for this compression process. Applying compression. So here, if you want to use with the encryption process, then do the following process. Without encryption process, do this following process for the uncompressed or decompressed purpose. So now this is the encrypted plus signature plus message. So this is the signature plus message, but now after encoded, it is become as encrypted plus signature plus message. So now this encryption process with the help of public key, for the user B, the encryption process done here Now the message got both encrypted plus signature plus message. Encrypted and signature, encrypted signature plus message. So message also verified. So now it is decompressed. Then based on the key ID, it becomes a decompressed. Based on the key ID. So the key ID should be matched with the senders and receiver side. The key ID should be matched with the senders and the receiver side. So here IDP selects that one, the public key from public key ring. So the public key is applied for encryption purpose. Now public key ID is used for here decompression purpose. So now the ID is matched with the sender's private keys. So now the process is able to decompress it and gives the output. Gives the output that is towards to the receivers. Towards to the receiver. So with the help of this session key, with the help of this public key, the sender's message has to be decrypted, and message has to be decrypted and decompressed and releases for the user. So this is the way PGP message generation without compression. There is no compression for or radix 64 compression for using this message user A and user B to the receiver side. So here we see the following steps. The sender PGP entity performs following steps. So first one is what? Signing the message. So how the message will be signed actually. So here you can see the message will be signed here. The signature plus message. This is the message and this is the signature with the help of keys. With the help of encrypted private key along with the key ID. Now the signature is verified and the signature is applied here. So message coming from this line and the key is coming from these key rings. So with the help of these key rings, with the help of these key IDs, the signature verified here. The signature is applied here. Now signature applied to this message. And this message is now become as encrypted signature message. So this encrypted signature message has to be delivered to the destination. Delivered to the receiver side. That is what we understand from this signing the message. So PGP retrieves the sender's private key from the private key ring using user ID as an index. So that is what we mentioned here. So PGP retrieves the sender's private key from private key ring. And private key ring user ID as an index. So if user ID was not provided in the command, the first private key on the ring is retrieved. So if it is not provided in the command, then the first private key, so whatever the private key is there in the private key ring, that will be comes for the first. So that it is retrieved. And PGP prompts the user for the passphrase to recover the unencrypted private key. So here the PGP prompts that user for what? Passphrase to recover the unencrypted private key. So to do the recovering process, it is announcing that use the passphrase mechanism. Use passphrase mechanism to recover this unencrypted. The signature component of the message is constructed right now. So now the message is constructed with the signature as well as encrypted. So the message, if message is encrypted with the private keys, then only it says that the signature is verified. Or signature is applied. And the second one is what? Encrypting the message. So PGP generates a session key and encrypt the message. So PGP retrieves the recipient's public key from the public key ring. So PGP retrieves the recipient's public key from the public keyring. So here from the public keyring, the public key is retrieved to the receiver side. With that receiver key, with that public key, he can able to decrypt that message. Decrypt that message. So that is what we mentioned here. Public key ring used here or user ID as an index. So the session key component of the message is also constructed. So the session key component of the message is constructed. So here to do this PGP message transmission process from sender A to sender B, it has to be signed. It has to be signed. The message has to be signed. So to do that message of the sign, to do that sign of the message, so what they are doing? They are doing simply adding the keys, encryption keys to the message. So encryption keys added from where? Key rings. So from key rings, the encryption keys will be added to the message. So now the PGP reception is there. So here PGP message reception. PGP message reception from user A to user B. From user A to user B. So here also no compression or radix. So here this is the user A. This is taken as user B A and this is taken as user B. So now the user A sees that message which is containing both encrypted session key plus message. So encrypted session key is there, encrypted message plus signature is there. So now this message has to be do the decryption process with the session key. So here the decompression techniques applying, the decryption process is also applying with the help of what? With the help of private key from the private keyring. From the private keyring, it is taken a private key for the decryption process or decoding process. Decryption process or decoding process. So with the help of this private key, now the decryption decoding process will be applied here for this message. The message is divided into encrypted message or encrypted digest as well as normal message. Encrypted digest as well as normal message. So now this encrypted digest will be decrypted by this public key. Encrypted digest will be decrypted by this public key. So here public key is coming from what? Coming from public keyring. Coming from what? Coming from public keyring. So public keyring maintains that all the public keys. Here private keyring maintains all the private keys. So these private keys are used for here generating session keys on decoding, and here generating public keys for what? Decoding of the message. So now encrypted digest is decoding process with the help of this public key. Now the message got here, and this message has to be verified that after decoding without encrypted digest. So the message also comes here. So check this message is one message and message 1, and here from here the message 2. So compare these two messages. So now we can say that the message comparison of the messages is equal. Then the message is received by the receiver. Until and unless message is not compared. Until and unless message is not same for the both comparisons, the message is not received by the receiver. Because the message authentication is not possible here. So the message authentication, to do this message authentication, comparison of those two messages are equally. If comparison of messages is equal, then the message is received by the receiver side. So that is the way of understanding this message reception to the receiver side. So here the receiving PGP entity performs the following messages. One is what? Decrypting the message. So the first one is what here? Decrypting the message. This is all decrypting the procedure. The next, authenticating the message. This is what? Authenticating the message. Comparison is nothing but authentication the message. So here decrypting the message. The PGP retrieves the receiver's private key from the private key ring. So PGP retrieves the receiver's private key from the private key ring using the key ID field in the session key component of the message in an index. So using the key ID field in the session key component of the message as an index. And PGP prompts the user for the passphrase to recover the unencrypted private key. Then PGP then recovers the session key and decrypts the message. So after completing the message, the PGP got the message, the session key, and decrypts the message. The second phase is what? Authenticating the message. So here PGP retrieves the sender's public key from the public key. So that is what we mentioned here. So PGP retrieves the sender's public key. So sender's public key is here. So sender's public key is taken from the public key ring using this key ID field in the signature key component of the message as an index. So now PGP recovers the transmitted message digest. So PGP computes the message digest for the received message. So for the received message and compare it to the transmitted message. So whatever the message you transmitted and whatever the message you received, both transmitted and received message is compared. So if the comparison is successful, and the message is same, then the message is received at the receiver side, or else the message is discarded. So here the PGP computes the message digest for the received message and compares it to the transmitted message digest to the authenticate process. So like the way there are certain steps to involved for the encryption and decryption purpose, as well as authenticating the message and encrypting the message. Authenticating, encrypting, encoding, decoding, signing the message, as well as applying the authentication process to the message. All the process steps involved in the PGP transmission and reception of the messages. So in that all these diagrams we can see the key IDs are identified from the key rings. And for each and every key rings there is a certain timestamp is there. And a key IDs is there, and public key, private key, and a user ID also. So these are all the fields which contains in the PGP message format as well as key rings format. So key rings are the data structures which maintains the pair of both public and private keys along with the adjustment of key IDs. So that is about this PGP message transmission and reception of the message. So once again we will revise the topic which we discussed in this session. So here the PGP message transmission and reception. So in this there is both message sender side and message receiver side has to be observed that the pair of keys are presented or not. So there is private keys and public keys. Observe that private keys and public keys, and check all the encrypted possibilities, all the encryption process and decryption processes. So here to generating the PGP message from user A to user B, there is certain steps involved. That is what one is taking the message, applying the message with the encryption technique. That is nothing but message authentication and signature verification. So after verifying the signatures, that message has become as encrypted signature message. So here to do this encryption process, the public key is observed from public key ring, and here private key is applied from private key ring. So now the message got delivered to the reception side or receiver side. So with these two steps, signing the message and encrypting the message transmission will be done. Message transmission will be done. So once the message got received at the moment of receiver side, that is what we compared both sender's mail as well as received mail. Sender's mail and received mail. So here PGP message reception which got the message is both combination of encrypted message with signature. Encrypted message with signature. So that has to be message digested. That has to be message digested with the help of this private key from private keyring and the public key from public keyring. So now the message got delivered to the destination side and the message is compared with both decryption processing message and the normal message. So if the comparison is successful, then the message got received by the receiver side. Message got received by the receiver side. So to do all these possibilities, the PGP messages are maintained with the help of two concepts called the PGP messages and PGP keys and PGP keys and cryptographic keys and keyrings. So all these the keyrings are very important. So that keyrings are maintaining that what public keys and private keys along with their IDs and applying somewhat strengthening to the keys, strengthening to the keys also. So that is about the concept of PGP message transmission and PGP message reception. So to send the mail in secure way from the source to destination or from sender to receiver, the message has to be transmitted and received with the help of all the different concepts like cryptography techniques. So encryption and decryption processes also comes under that category. So that is about PGP message transmission and reception. Thank you all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.